Very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Anuj, and I'm here to talk about Indian real estate, more particularly about the Mumbai real estate. Everyone has a calling, and my calling has been real estate. I recall when I was about 10, 11 years old, my father was duped by a shady broker when he sold him an office under development, which was already sold twice to someone else. This was the famous Khosla ka Ghosla kind of a story. And clearly the family went through a huge amount of stress at that time. And I used to wonder is that if there were right-spirited people in real estate, perhaps the real estate that India is foreseeing at that time would not have gone through the transition. Clearly there were a lot of stories in that, but one thing that I discovered is that Indian real estate is perhaps loved by a lot of people. Two reasons why. One, emotional. Second, financial. Emotional, because even today, many of the brides are not, the parents would not hand them over to a bridegroom unless he or at least his immediate family have a residence of their own. Second, financial. In India, there is no social security. Because there is no social security at an old age, you look at real estate as a social security asset. Either it'll give you rent, or at least you're going to be able to stay there and not pay rent during your old age. It is also the favorite whipping boy of media. And I discovered that there are perhaps two reasons why it is the favorite whipping boy, particularly Mumbai real estate. The first one, there are only 5% of people in the city of Mumbai who own residential real estate. So if you own a residential real estate, you're amongst that narrow population of just 5%. The second, the prices are astronomically high. The middle class really cannot afford real estate. And 4 reasons for that. First, Mumbai was never meant to be a city to accommodate 20 million people. It was an island of 7 different islands put together by the British for shipping and trading. Unlike Delhi, which had a focal point and had concentric circles to grow, there was no area for growth for Mumbai. That's why even today, South Mumbai land prices in dollar terms are more expensive than Manhattan. The second, 50 people every hour come into the city of Mumbai for work. Clearly that adds a lot more strain onto the accommodation. Third, if you were born in the 1990s and you were coming into really play of the residential acquisition, you would have paid 7 to 9 times more, perhaps between 67 months to 90 months of your salary towards buying a residence. But fourth and most importantly, Mumbai residential was infested with speculators, with hundi guys who would finance the developers, who would buy in bulk from the developers in cash and through hundis, and then retail it out to the buyers, thereby making hefty margins. You know, as they say, is customer is the king. There were 3 consecutive tsunamis that have happened in the Indian real estate. 3 consecutive tsunamis. The first one, demonetization in November 2016. 2 things that it did. First, the hundi guys went out of business completely, as a result of which the developer for the first time had to deal with the consumer. And not only deal with the consumer, the money was really coming in from the consumer, so he or she had to really listen to the consumer for the first time. Second is, in the secondary market, in the resale market, there was a lot of cash that went out. That cash disappeared. The property prices in the resale market crashed, as a result of which there was a cascading impact onto the primary new home sales. The second tsunami effect was the GST, and the third was Real Estate Regulation Act. I think it is the biggest act that I have seen since independence, which has influenced the real estate. It is perhaps a gift of the Noida developers. In 2014, I was on a trip to Noida, and I discovered there were 110,000 incomplete apartments which were sold to poor, innocent people who, through their meager salaries, had collected that money to buy those apartments, fully knowing by the developers and the real estate agents that these apartments could never be delivered. They were sold to those poor guys. That is perhaps what my catharsis was, which is when I decided to set up India's largest residential and perhaps the most ethical real estate company. Clearly, I feel under RERA, you're going to see a huge amount of consolidation over the next 18 months. And this is a very important statement, what I'm going to make. Over the next 18 months, I believe 6 on 10 developers will perish. And 75 to 80% of the real estate brokers will perish. It is a very strict law, and you're going to see a lot of the stakeholders, unless they consolidate, they're not going to be able to go through this. Which really comes to the point, my generation inherited a world which was a lot better, and perhaps we have done a lot of damage, and going out, we'll hand it over, perhaps in a worse manner or form than what we had inherited. But one thing that I can say is clearly Indian real estate, we're going to give it in a better condition than what we had inherited. We had inherited a real estate which was full of black money, full of mafia, full of political connections. You would shake hand and then count your finger, there were only 4 left. We're going to give an industry which is going to be having a lot more governance, a lot more financial prudence, and a lot more discipline. Coming particularly to Mumbai real estate, there are nearly 140,000 vacant apartments in Mumbai, which, if you were to calculate, it's about 7,700 cricket grounds that are available today. If you were to sit in front of a developer with your checkbook, you're going to be able to get between 7 to 17% discount from the developer. That is what the Mumbai real estate is. Not only that, the new development plan that has come up, 2034, it opens up a huge amount of salt pans. 10 lakh affordable houses are going to be constructed by the government. Not only that, the island city, which was really dying because there was very little construction happening, has got a renewed life where there has been a higher FSI, re-densification of the Mumbai city. And that brings me to the point that this city is really full of resilience. Whether it was the floods or whether it was the terrorist attacks or the economic slowdown, or the thought that real estate prices are really going to clamor the city, and the city is going to be unable to progress, you're going to start to see the real estate prices becoming a lot more affordable. This city is going to have a back of steel where you're going to start to see the economic development, economic activity, because the real estate is going to become a lot more affordable going forward in Mumbai. In conclusion, I would say is that there are 3 unfulfilled agendas in the Indian real estate. The first is lack of gender diversity. There are less than 2% women in Indian real estate who are in position of influence. Unless we bring in more women into the Indian real estate, it is not going to be a sustainable business. We need more softness. We need a different aptitude. We need a different attitude to get into Indian real estate. Attitude may be a small word, but I can tell you it brings in a huge amount of difference. The second, it needs more sustainability. Nearly 50% of the greenhouse gases are emitting through construction, operation, or occupation of the buildings. If we are not mindful, this is going to create a huge amount of damage to the environment. And the third is that as my generation hands over to the next generation this change in real estate, which has really happened, if that change is not managed well, perhaps the ghosts of the past are going to come back again. At my level, I'm very confident that the next generation is going to be able to manage this change very appropriately, not only because always the next generation is smarter than the previous generation, but this generation has a lot more new ideas, a lot more new thoughts, and a lot more modern attitude. Thank you very much, and God bless you.